Hello and welcome back to Rule the Game. In this video I'm going to show you how to play Forest Shuffle Dartmoor, a game by Kosch. This is a game for 2 to 5 players, lasts about an hour, and it's recommended starting at age 10. Now if you've been to my channel, or if you've been playing board games lately, you've probably heard of Forest Shuffle. Well, it turns out that Forest Shuffle Dartmoor is of course also part of this universe, but this is a standalone game. There are other expansions to Forest Shuffle, but this one here is not an expansion, the Dartmoor. Dartmoor really is standalone, it has different cards and so on. If you have this version, then you can click on the link above and that will take you right away to my other video that shows you how to play this one, Forest Shuffle, the regular game. Dartmoor has slightly different rules, so please stay here if you have the Dartmoor version. For those who know Forest Shuffle but now have the Dartmoor version, please now also click up on the link. It will take you right away to the section that shows you what is new in this game, and I will only explain there what is new and not the whole game. For everybody else, you just stay here and I'll show you the whole game, how it's played, including all the new rules. You're not even going to notice they're new because I'm going to just explain the game to you so that you can actually use it. As usual, I'll show you first what the objective is of this game, then I'll show you how to play the game. I'll give you some hints for the first game, including some strategies on how you can actually score more points. And if you have this game, then there's another video where you can also get the strategies that's linked above right now too. Then I'll show you how to set up the game, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe below. But now let's get started with Forest Shuffle Dartmoor.
Rule the game.
In Forest Shuffle Dartmoor, you're building a moor in a forest that is the habitat of different plants and different animals. And it's your goal to combine these plants and animals well so that you get lots of points from them. What you see here is just an example of what it could look like at the end of the game, although this is not enough. Usually you have plenty more trees and also moors in the game, but this is good enough that I can show you how to score it. The game ends immediately once somebody pulls here from the deck the third winter card. At that point, nobody does anything anymore. All the cards that you have in your hands can be put away. They don't have any value anymore. And then we start counting the points. Unfortunately, Forest Shuffle Dartmoor doesn't really have an app yet that you can download to count your points. I expect that this will come very soon, and maybe by right now you already have it. But now that I'm taking this video, it doesn't exist yet, while the regular Forest Shuffle actually has an app where you can just scan all your different plants and animals and so on, and you get all the points. So here currently, you're going to have to do it manually. And that's why we have here our scoring pad. We'll go from top to bottom, and what we do first is we score the trees. Trees are vertical, while moors are horizontal. And you see here on my tree, or on every card actually, usually on the bottom right is how you score them. The acorns are the scores, and here in some cases you have a condition that needs to be fulfilled to get points. In this case, we'll get 8 victory points for this tree if it is fully occupied, and in this case we have a card on each side of this tree, so this is fully occupied and therefore this tree actually gives you 8 points, and that's what you're going to write down here in your first square. Next, we're going to score the moors. The moors are here and here. Here it says, in this moor, you double all the points from all the different ferns. I don't have a single card that has a fern on here, so there's no points that I get from this moor. But from over here, I get 2 victory points per mammal that has a paw. And as you can see, I actually have here, I have a rabbit and I have an otter. So I get 2 points for this one, 2 for this one. So 4 in total for the moors. Then you get points for the cards above the tree and above the moor. So in this case, we'll get here for the dragonflies. We have 2 different dragonflies. We'll get 5 points. We'll get here 3 points for each bat that I have. I have 1 bat, so that's 3 points here. And I get here 2 points per dragonfly that I have. I have 2 dragonflies, so that's 4 points. So 4 points from here, 3 from here, and 5 from here. Next up, we're going to get points from the cards that stick to the sides of trees. As you can see, I have here 1 bat that gives me 5 acorns. If I have 3 different bats, I don't have it, so no points here. And here I get 1 acorn per rabbit. I only have 1 rabbit, so this is only 1 point. Up next, you get points for the cards that are below a tree or below a moor. And so, for example, here I get a point per mouse and per amphibia that I have. I have 1 amphibia here. And here I get 3 points per amphibia, so this is 3 points for this card. And here I would get 8 points if I had at least 5 moors, which I don't have. So I'd get 3 points for this one and 1 for this one, 4 in total here. And finally, I also get points for each card that is here in my cave. It even shows here 1 acorn per card in your cave. I have 2 cards in my cave, so that's 2 extra points. This example is terrible, okay? I have no points, so this is not a good game. And I didn't build enough either. Now, if you watch my video on the original Forest Shuffle game, you'll hear me say that if you get 100 points, you're doing quite well. I had to revise this in the meantime. I had plenty of games where we had 300 points and more. So, and especially if you add the expansions, the points never seem to end. So forget how many points you get. But this here was terrible anyway. You do still have to get at least above 100 points if you want to have a chance to win. Even here, we've had 300 points in the past. So more is possible here than just a few points like I have here. But in any case, who has the most points wins the game. Forest Shuffle is a turn-based game. On your turn, you have exactly 2 options of what you can do. Option 1 is that you draw cards. Cards can be drawn from either here from the deck or from here on the clearing. You can pull a total of 2 cards, which can come either from here or from a combination of both. You pull them one by one, so you could technically take a card here first, look at it, and then still decide that you want one of these cards afterwards. No matter where you take your cards from, you'll put them in your hand. Your hand can never have more than 10 cards in it. Should you already be at 9 cards, when you want to pull cards, you can only draw 1 card. And the second option is that you play a card from your hand. To play a card, you'll see that every card will have a cost to it. The moors have costs, the trees have costs, even animals have costs. If you want to play a card, you take that card, you place it on the table somewhere, and you'll pay however many cards the card costs into your clearing. In this case, it was 2 cards that it costs. I put the 2 cards right here. Similar thing happens for a tree. This card even costs me 0 cards, so I don't have to pay anything. But because I played a tree, I will have to place a card from the deck here into the clearing. However, this card is a little special because it does give me a victory point at the end of the game, but it also gives me an effect right now as I play it, and this effect is that I can pick up a card and put it in my hand. So I'll take one from the deck, and picking up cards from here always means that you take it from the deck and you put it in your hand. As you can see, some other cards actually let you take a card from the clearing, but then it clearly says from the clearing. Now I could have also played this tree here. And as you can see, this little tree actually has here a symbol with binoculars. And what that means is if I pay for this card with 2 cards that have a gray symbol on them, like this one is up here, if I pay with 2 cards that have the gray symbol on them, like these, look at this, here we have 1, 2 gray symbols. If I paid with these 2, in this case, I would actually be able to not only get the effect here, which is 1 card from the deck, but I could also take 1 card from the clearing. The action here, the effect that you get with the binoculars, is only there if you actually pay with this exact color that it says here. So had I paid with different colors, had I paid with, let's say, these 2 cards are only green, I would only get the top effect, which is 1 card from the deck. Having said that, before I could actually do the effect, I would have still had to put a card out, because again, I played a tree, so 1 card goes out, and then only do I take my card from this effect. So this is how you play moors, and this is how you play trees. As you can see, animals and little ferns or plants come on cards that have two sides. There's a right and left hand side, and a top and a bottom. As you can see from the other cards that I have over here already, the animals, you can either decide if you want to put them on the right hand side of a tree or a left hand side of a tree. If you have a card like this, a vertically cut card, you can never use any of these cards on a moor. So you can't put them here or there. It only works on trees. Now, on every single tree, you can place one card on each side. So you have 4 sides, 4 cards. This one is full. There's no other card that you can add, unless it's a card that lets you place several of them next to each other, which in this case, I don't have one. But I could play my rabbit here, and as you can see, my rabbit costs nothing. For the horizontally cut, it's very similar. In this case, you'll either put them on the bottom or top of a card. However, in this case, you see, you can actually also add these to the moors. In the case of the moors, because you can't put one right and left, instead you can put 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. If there is no place for you to play a card, if you want to place this mouse somewhere, there is no place for the mouse anymore because all the trees are already inhabited on the right hand side. And so you can actually play this card until you have another tree. And this is how you play a card from your hand. You pay the cost into the clearing. You then place your card somewhere on a moor or on a tree. And then if you can, and if the card does have an effect, you can play the effect and get a bonus from it. Once you have either drawn a card or you've played a card, then we'll check the clearing. If there are not more than 10 cards, nothing happens. Should I have 10 cards in my clearing, we'll take all the cards and we'll put them on the discard pile. And as you can see, for whoever wants to draw a card now, would have to draw from the regular deck. I want to explain all the different effects of the cards here. For that, please refer to the instruction manual. Besides the moors that you see here, there's also something that's called the universal moor, and it's actually just the backside of each card that is this universal moor. You cannot just play this one. You'll actually need to have a card that tells you to play one. That's, for example, this one, which means that if I pay for this frog with a green card, I can take any card in my hand, flip it around, play it as a moor, and now I can use it as a moor with cards up on top and cards on the bottom. Once I've done one of my actions, the turn goes to the next person in the clockwise order. At some point, once you get further down on the deck here, you'll actually start hitting some of these winter cards. They're on the bottom third of the cards, so you have some time, but you don't know exactly where they're going to be here at the bottom. Once you reveal the first one and the second one, nothing happens. The active player who revealed them can just take the next card in their hand. But once the third card comes out, the game's over, and at that point everybody puts down their cards and we start counting. Now, if you know the standard game of Forest Shuffle, let me quickly show you what's different in this version. For one, you're going to take out a different number of cards compared to the other Forest Shuffle version. You'll see that up in the screen here, how many cards you'll take out at the beginning of the game. 2, instead of just trees with animals on it or plants on it, we now also have moors. Moors will be placed down horizontally instead of vertically, but they otherwise work just like a tree. However, in this case, for moors, you cannot place a card on the right or left hand side. You can only put 2 on top and 2 on the bottom. Instead of having a sapling on the back of every card, you now have a universal moor on it. But this one you cannot just play like in the other Forest Shuffle as a sapling here. You can only place this universal moor if you have here an effect of a card that you've purchased that lets you use one of your hand cards as a moor on the table. This game also has asymmetrical caves. The way you distribute them is that at the beginning of the game, you'll take as many cards, or as many caves as you have players, and you decide who the starting player is, And then you'll actually start with the last player who gets to pick one of the caves first, and it goes counterclockwise until you get to the starting player who takes the last card that's left. Then you will all first do the action here that it says on the bottom right of these caves before we get started with the game by the starting player. And in this edition of the game, apparently it could happen that you're not able to draw cards because you already have 10, and you can't play one either because, I don't know, because you probably don't have trees or you don't have moors. If that's the case, then you just discard 2 of your cards from your hand and you take 2 more cards from the deck. And that's the only differences you have between this game and the regular Forest Shuffle. And here's some hints for the first game. This is all about combining good cards. So you'll have to decide, not necessarily very early, but in the early stages of the game, what strategies you will actually want to play. Don't just play random cards that get into your hand. They all look amazing, they all look great. Try to stack cards. Try to combine them. Try to find how these cards can work together in the best way so that you multiply your points that you have. And here's some combinations that might actually work for you. For one, we have the otter that gives you 3 times 3 points per amphibia that you have. And you actually also have that here with the snake that also gives you a point per amphibia. Now the amphibias, there are a few of them. There's a newt and there's some frogs and so on. There are a few that you can have. And those usually combine with each other also. So you get some points there. This version also has here a bunch of dragonflies, where if you get 5 different dragonflies, you actually get 30 points, but you don't get 30 points per dragonfly, but for the set of them. You can have 2 sets. It is possible to have 2 sets or 3 sets of dragonflies. Technically, there are 4 of them here, as you can see in this little number. But if you get the dragonflies, then also try to get one of these little moorhens here that gives you 2 points per dragonfly. So always again, think about how you combine them, that you get extra points for each card that you already have anyway. Rabbits are very cool because every rabbit is 1 point per rabbit. So in this case, this one rabbit gives me 1 point for this rabbit, but it gives you also 1 point for this rabbit. So it's 2 points for this one, 2 points for this one. And as you can see, this goes up exponentially. If you have 5 rabbits, that's 25 points. And even better, you'll find a badger that will give you 2 points per animal with a paw, in this case the rabbits. So if you have a bunch of rabbits and they cost you nothing, you get 2 points here also. You can also combine the bats with different owls or animals that actually give you points for bats. Or what you can also do, and that's on this side here, you can actually have your little mice. And the mice work the same way as the rabbits. But in this case, what you get from them is you also get a card when you play them. And you can get a point per mouse. And again, as with the rabbits, that means it exponentially increases the number. And if you have a snake on top, that gives you an additional point per mouse that you have. And if you have the mice, look at this, if you have the buzzard, you'll get 1 card per mouse that you have when you play the buzzard, and you get 2 points per mouse that you have. So also here, try to really stack the effect. And that's Forest Shuffle Dartmoor. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please subscribe to the channel. Up next, how to set up the game. To set up the game, you first put out the clearing in the middle of the table. You can use either this side or this side of the clearing. You then separate the caves and the winter cards from the rest of the deck. You put them aside for the moment. We'll then shuffle the full deck. We'll remove a bunch of cards, as you can see from this table that I show here on the screen. And we then separate this deck in 3 piles that are approximately the same height. We'll then take 2 of the winter cards that we have. We'll shuffle them into one of the decks. We'll then put the last winter card on top of this deck, and we'll put the 2 other decks on top of it. This deck now goes on the left-hand side of the clearing. We'll then put out as many caves as we have players. We put the others aside. We'll hand out 6 cards to each player. They can look at them. We'll define who is the starting player. And then we'll check who is actually the last player in this round. And the person who will go last will then first get a choice of the 4 caves that we have here. They'll pick one and it goes counterclockwise back to the starting player until the starting player only has 1 cave left that they can pick. All of these cards have a different effect on the bottom. We now fulfill this effect. In this case it says I start with 8 cards in my hand. So I'll take 2 more cards. And now we're ready to get started with the starting player going first.